Beautiful. Okay. All right. Hello, guys. So, welcome to Critical Language Scholarship presentation. And I'm just going to talk about the program itself, what the program is about, and what can you do with the scholarship and move forward. So yeah. So I'm just going to talk about my program experience, the program information itself, the benefits of the program, and then just go to questions. So I'm just kind of more informal because there's four people and no one has joined in the Zoom yet. But yeah, so I spent my summer learning Russian in Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan. And here's some highlights of my experience. So this is what was my cohort. Like I said, it's about 20 students, 30 students. And you get to live with your host family, which I'll talk about more in the later slides. So that was my host family there. And you get paid excursion, everything's paid for. So that we had like horse riding. Kyrgyzstan was very big on nomadic culture. Hey, you want to join in? Yeah. So we just started, by the way, you didn't miss anything. So yeah, I was doing horseback riding. We went to excursions. We went to lake house with my host family. So all that stuff is all paid for that you can enjoy as a CLS recipient. So in-class experience. So when you come to that program specific location, you have to sign a language pledge. So you're not speaking in English for 2 months about. So you're speaking, let's say you get Portuguese, then you're speaking Portuguese. Let's say you're speaking Swahili, you're speaking only Swahili in class and outside of class. And it's not strictly enforced, however, but I think it's a good structure and a reminder, and it does really help your language experience. So for me, I took it to a point where, like, if I have emergency, of course I'll speak in English because I don't want to be stuck in Kyrgyz Republic where, like, oh, I have to only speak in Russian. But I was doing it just to kind of talk to my classmate, even though, my Russian wasn't fluent or anything. It was good practice, and also my brain was just locked in on just learning that specific language rather than just resorting back to English, because it's so easy to just be comfortable and talk to your classmate in English or call your family back home. I try to just kind of fit in with the country where I started making friends in the local country, like local area, or talk to my host family rather than going out dinner with like our classmate, because that was very tempting to just speak in that language of English. Because I decided to really love English after coming back because it was just so. It was like, oh my God, I can talk anything I want basically, but like it will work out well, and it really shows an OPI that people that were just talking in English outside a classroom environment did not score that much higher than people who were actually immersive in that language. So yeah, and then class. So my day in life was I wake up about like 8, and then this actual class started about like 9, and then it's a 2-hour block, so 2 hours of classroom 1, and then lunch break, and then 2 hours classroom 2. They leave a lot of this time after, because you have a lot of homework, and also you have activities like language partner activities, or they kind of let you talk to your host family a lot, or just kind of explore the city. So I think it was perfect balance. There could be a little, I guess, fear that, okay, 4 hours not enough. But when you think about it, if you can maximize those areas of doing homework, talking to your host family, and exploring the country, it's a perfect balance for me, because I feel like if I'm in class only for 8 hours, it doesn't matter if I'm in that host country because I'm just in classroom. So it really depends on how you make out of it. So it's about 2 hours lunch and then 2 hours. And then we have like someday we have same day excursion where we explore the city, or the language partner is about hour, 2 hour conversation that is, you can schedule how you want, but at least once a week. So virtual program experience, I don't think anybody here is applying for CLS Spark, so I'll skip that. But CLS Spark is basically for institution that doesn't have Mandarin, Japanese, Korean, Russian, who wants to learn. You can apply CLS Spark. So it's not, Missouri State has all the program in my knowledge, so I'll skip that. So experience living with your host family in the host city. I mean, I can only speak for Russian, for Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan, but it was very rewarding experience because the whole city just spoke Russian, so it was just like every day is, every day is a presentation, basically, a speaking practice. Every day is a listening practice. Every day is a reading practice because I have to read the products in the shop. I have to talk to how do I get to this place? I have to order taxi, through Russian. I have to listen to what they're saying to me. So that was a very unique experience because I mean I feel like my experience in Russian in my host university is that I get 45 minutes of Russian, and then once I step outside of the classrooms, it's all English, and it's so easy to just like forget about it. So for me, living in Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan was absolutely phenomenal, and the excursions were like eye-opening for me, not just the language but also culture, because I grew up not really knowing about Russian culture or the Soviet culture, or the history. So not only got to learn language, but also got to meet people that talked about history and how the life, back in Soviet times or currently. So I think critical language scholarship does not only the language learning benefit, but also learning about yourself. I got to how to challenge myself in a foreign country that I'm not familiar of, because if I went to Korea, for example, as a CLS Korean recipient, I would have known like a lot of things because I was natively Korean. But going to a completely different part of the world, it was an amazing experience. I didn't even know like Kyrgyzstan as a country really before even going. So going there and learning about their history, their culture was just as rewarding as learning the language. Cultural activities and program structure that kind of goes along with what I said, but every a lot of weekends are free, so you can plan your travels. So, but what I did was I try to hang out with my host family. So I went to like my host family's lake house, and I got to engage in the language learning and the other activities. So we have one or two cultural activities per week. So we made like traditional Kyrgyz food. We went to like you know the city tour. We went to like the traditional Kyrgyz music instrument. We went to ballet concert. So we have like one or two cultural activities per week, and it's all paid by the program. So it was very nice. And your language partner, so they designate your language partner when you're in process. So that's like your week one, and you can meet with your language partner at least once a week. That's kind of enforced through the program. But if you want to meet more, let's say you click with your language partner, you can meet multiple times a week, and they sometimes come to the cultural activities and excursion together. And what I liked about my language partner experience is that rather than speaking to my host family, which is you have an age gap and also generation gap. So the topic that you talk about with your host family is a lot different to your language partner because they're basically like a college student, just like you. So like a lot of my topics with my host family would be about like family related stuff, about just how you talk to your parents, like how you talk to your parents and your peers is different. So same thing. So I really enjoyed diversifying the topic and get me engaged. And my language partner took me around the hot spots where like the youngsters go and stuff like that. So like kind of experiencing the city as well was kind of rewarding factor for me. And yeah. But yeah, like that was my experience personally. I loved it so much where I wanted to just come to different universities and talk about it. So like imagine how much passion you will be when you get CLS and all the experience. So like I definitely encourage you to apply. But what is a CLS program? So immersive summer opportunity to study language and cultures. Well, that's a very strong mission statement, but I really think that, you know, the language and culture aspect kind of goes along in your time at CLS because I learned just as much about post-Soviet country culture and also the Russian culture or Kyrgyz culture just as much as my Russian language. So let's say you're very interested by East Asian region, I strongly encourage you to apply like for Japanese, Korean, Chinese if you have the years already, because you get to really learn about the different things that you were just reading in textbooks, and it's fully funded by the government, and so yeah. But for you guys, it will just be overseas because I don't think you guys are qualified CLS Park since Missouri State. Missouri State has a all the critical language programs here, and yeah. So what is a critical language? So it's less commonly taught and studied in US campuses. So I'm gonna go to the language slide where it has all the language offered, but a lot of those programs like Azerbaijani, Urdu, Swahili, it's not really offered in regular like US institutions. So that was the mission of CLS to kind of diversify that to colleges around the US. And for students, like all fields can apply. So I was international affairs major, which was common for CLS scholar group. Like a lot of people were political science majors, security studies, or international affairs. But let's say your majors like English, or we had one like had a literature degree, or we had one with the STEM major. We had students with diverse majors. So I think a lot of people think that just because I'm this major doesn't make me, qualify for this scholarship or this program. It's absolutely false. I'm not a Russian major, and a lot of my friends were, and I was still there with them. And it doesn't matter if you're from Georgetown, from Harvard, or from a small school, because I'm from a very small school in Georgia. And one of the things was introducing ourselves to the cohort, and I'm like, hey, my name is this, and I'm from University of North Georgia, and people were like, I don't know where that is. So basically, like all people from very different background can apply, and they like to diversify the application pool anyway. So I strongly encourage you to apply, especially for institutions where like Missouri State, because I don't think there was alumni from Missouri State that went to critical language scholarship. So having that first like generation type thing, the first student to go, because I was first student from my school to go to that language program. So like that's also an advantage. So I think a lot of the disadvantages that you guys might think, I don't see myself applying because no one has done it before, is also an advantage because you can be the pioneer, and also the region you're from, also um, like the institution. So yeah. I'm gonna skip all these mission statements. So language offered. So I know a lot of you guys think about Portuguese here and also Mandarin, but it's actually I encourage you to look at other options. Obviously, the extreme critical language, the like Arabic, Chinese, Korean, Russian, Japanese, they do require prior study, not because of the program. It's like the competition is so big because a lot of people like a lot of institutions have all this critical language, like those 5 basic ones. They kind of go a little bit of I guess more competition based. So they added 1 year, 2 year study requirement, especially for Japanese. But we have Azerbaijani, where you study in Baku, Azerbaijan. So if you're interested in the Caucasus region, where it's middle of Asia and Europe, I strongly encourage you to apply. If you're interested by European language, like a lot of people with Spanish background or Roman language background that wanted to kind of stay in Europe but also explore different parts of Europe, they did apply to Azerbaijani, and the competition for Azerbaijani is very low. So if you just want to experience the study abroad scholarship, I kind of actually encourage you to apply to Azerbaijani. Hindi, there's Hindi. I think you guys go to India. I'm not sure about the city. And then Indonesian, Persian. Persian, you guys go to Tajikistan, so right country right next to Kyrgyzstan, and they go to Dushanbe, and I heard it's very very phenomenal program, and Tajikistan is not a country that you get really like common chance to go. So I think Persian is really cool. And if you want to learn Arabic but you don't have the experience or just kind of wanted to explore the region, Persian I think is a great program where you can see the post-Soviet culture and also um, the culture of like Persia. Because I guess we can't go to Iran because of the relations. Um, Portuguese obviously is for location is Brazil. So Portuguese tend to be a lot competitive, I would say, because a lot of people are coming from that Spanish background because of your middle education. We learn Spanish or French or stuff like that. So a lot of people are resorting to kind of familiar language, and also a lot of people um, just want to go to Brazil because like the location is awesome. Same goes with Indonesian. Swahili, you go to Tanzania. I think that's awesome, and a lot of my colleagues said Swahili was really awesome experience. And I know one CLS online who did Swahili, and he did born through Swahili as well, and he works at the State Department as a foreign service officer. So Swahili is actually very useful if you want to engage in if you're interested in the African history or language, stuff like that. Turkish and Urdu. I think Urdu is also a program site in India, and then Turkish is in Turkey, obviously. And I've seen a lot of people apply to Azerbaijani that are interested in Turkish because of the competition pool, and Azerbaijani and Turkish is very similar. But as a CLS alumni, you can apply to different CLS language program again. So let's say someone does Portuguese and then really like the program itself, you can apply to like Azerbaijani or any other language here that's offered. Yeah.
How often is it that somebody will get accepted twice?
There's not really like a stat, but like it has to kind of come with the purpose why. So that's the hard thing for the application. Like, so you did, let's say I'm a Korean major and I did CLS Korean, but I'm applying for like Swahili. Like that's kind of like really far away and different. So you gotta have a mission like purpose. Maybe you're planning on doing your Peace Corps time and you're interested about in that region or like diversifying. Like you gotta have a purpose, and a lot of things with your personal statement and your different supplemental entities does have to tie with like the purpose. All these programs are very cool, but you gotta have here's what I can offer to the table type of thing. So we'll talk about the essay later on, but yeah, it has happened before. Not as common because not a lot of people apply twice, like in a different institution, but it has happened. Yeah. So the structure, so it's about 15-hour class per week, and then like I said, the language agreement. So you sign it in your week one, and it's not strictly enforced, like I said, but I highly encourage you guys to do that because it's only 2 months, right? It's only a little bit of suffering for eternal, like effects. So I definitely agree with the language agreement. Looking back, because when I first signed it, I was like, I'm not gonna take it seriously, but I wish I had, even though I didn't really like purposely go out my way to speak English. Like I wish I took it way more seriously because it's so easy to talk. Like I was talking to my classmates in English during lunch, but I wish I kind of didn't do that because it didn't really set me up for like the maximization of the language. And it was only 2 months, and it's very short. Like when you think about it, like 2 months of your life is very short, and you want to maximize that. So the language agreement, I highly encourage you to take that seriously. And yeah, culture class and activities. So like I said before, and then all students have language partners, and then excursion. A lot of these PowerPoints are very like repetitive, but yeah. Students live with the host family where possible. So I lived 30 minutes away from the campus by walking, but the traffic was so bad in Bishkek that like if I took public transportation, it would have been the same. But the location of your host family, that's not really up to you guys. They place you, but before when you get accepted, you can write a form like what you're interested in. Like, do you want a host family that live in the house or apartment, and if they can accommodate that, they do. If you have dietary restrictions, so like if you're vegan, then they would like to put, you with a vegan host family if they can find it, or like for my host family, like I just put like I don't mind like a lot of kids, so I had host family with like 3 kids. Some did mind like some host family that doesn't have any kid, or like pets. Like I said, I'd rather not have pets, you know. And then I got placed with host family with no pets, but like my friend was like they had like 4 dogs in their house, So it all depends on your form. So and you can change it if you had bad experience with the host family. So don't worry, they take that very seriously. And if you have any bad experience with your host family, you can talk to your program manager immediately, and they'll get you sorted. So we had a couple students with that type of problem. I mean, with their cultural differences or just not good fit. I mean, so you don't have to really worry about host family place because if it doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out. But for me, I love my host family. I still talk to them to this day, and it's been, you know, 4 months since my time in Kyrgyzstan, and I did different programs similar to CLS, and then that was almost 2 years ago, and I still talk to my host family. So your host family really does dictate your program experience because they can, really take you to different places. They can, talk to you, and you get really close to talking to them. You're really in their family. I don't really like to use the word host family because for me they're like my family, and I called my host father, and host moms because we were so close and we did everything together. So your host family experience, I think that's one of the best part. Just not living in a dorm and also living in host family because they cook you, they cook you so much food, like literally so much food, and they literally like feed you like crazy, and you're like, I'm so full right now, but they're like, no, please go eat more. I'm like, no, I can't do that, and they're also talking to you in the language, and you're trying to process food in the language, and you're like, is my food going to my ears or like what? So I really love my host family experience. So yeah, it's very exciting. And yeah, there's no independent research or study or internship, so you're basically locked in just doing CLS. And you know why? When you get there, because it's very intense. Like it's probably one of the most intense language program I did because of the amount of homework, amount of the, the time you have to allocate for language partners, and also you have projects, you have presentations that you have to do. There's midterm and final exams, so it was very like structured. So yeah, you won't have time for research, independent study, or internship program. So keep that in mind as you kind of make your fallback option for CLS. Like when you accept CLS, you have to decline other programs for the summer because you have to really dedicate your time. So plan it ahead of time. So you have to be U.S. citizen or national. You can be dual citizen, but you have to use U.S. passport to travel. So let's say you have Brazilian passport and also an American passport. You have to use American passport to get to the country. And then certain countries have specific visa requirement. And if you use your foreign passport, it might hinder your experience. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, enroll in degree seeking programs. So I don't. Yeah, associates can
I
do it.
just saw that. And I was like,
So I was wrong. So yeah, you can be, from OTC and or different community colleges and still apply. Graduate seniors are eligible, like I said, so for you guys, and then there's no GPA requirement, but it is encouraged to have a good GPA, obviously, because
they still ask for your transcript.
yeah, they still ask for your
Yeah,
transcript.
they're looking at all that.
So I would say I've never seen applicant with a lower than like 3. So I think they do have a requirement. But Spark, I'll skip. So yeah, program benefits. So how does it affect me and my career? Actually, substantial gains. So you get credit if you are looking for extra credit, like towards your degree. But I guess with this audience, a lot of things kind of apply to the career aspect, and then also OPI certificate for pre-test and post OPI test, and you can use that on your resume and when you apply to different jobs and stuff like that. It's nice and advance your career. I think this is the biggest part. So when you go to CLS program, so I never imagined about like the State Department being my career until I went to CLS program because I was invited by the embassy to tour around the embassy mentorship program with the people working in the U.S. embassy. We got invited by the U.S. ambassador to his residence for a cookout for 4th of July party. So like I'm just like a college graduate talking to these people working in State Department and diplomats that I, thought I'll never meet really in my life, but they were giving me quality advices and a lot of my friends that went to programs now, a lot of people are in that process of getting into State Department. So having CLS in your resume is absolutely a leg up compared to other applicants that just kind of apply after college to State Department or other different agency like USAID came to talk to us, not just the State Department. So that's a great resource for you to have as a CLS alumni. And then non-competitive eligibility. I know you have it already for Gilman Scholarship, but like basically what happens is you receive a certificate that you're non-competitive eligible. And when you apply for any government job, there's a question that are you NC qualified, and you say yes, and your application literally goes from here to here because you're only getting access with other NCA applicants, so they have slots for NCA eligible people only. So you're basically going from this application pool to this. So a lot of people did use NCE, and it's real because I don't have the stats, but like people with NC, their chance of getting into like any government job is way higher. And a lot of we had like a panel talk for U.S. Embassy in Kyrgyzstan for all the people that wanted to go to foreign service, and most of them, like 2 or 3 out of 6, they were NC like qualified individuals. So it does increase your chance by a lot. It also build international relationship, like I said, maybe my host family, language partner, and also people from the program. So I still talk to people that went to program with me, and it's a great experience. And also, if you're pursuing a language and you want to go to foreign service, like you will see these people again. So make sure you make the most out of it as well and network with people. Obviously, I'm like hypocrite because I said like I didn't really hang out with my people in my program, just focus more on my host family and the language, but also you can do both, kind of balance it out. You don't have to spend all the time with your host family, and you can hang out with your people from your cohort, but you don't have to always spend time with your cohort and then dish your host family or like the language partner experience. So you can kind of balance it out both, and you have group excursion with the people in your program, so you don't have to worry about like I'm going to talk to them after class. You have to participate in that group activity. And then you can join the network. So there's CLS Alumni Network for Facebook, Instagram, no, LinkedIn, and also the website called CLAS. And then they have like a conference every year where you can network. And then they post jobs on Alumni Network that are just specific. So State Department published it out to the public through USA Job, and they kind of post one privately to people in alumni, U.S. State Department program alumni. So you can get like the exclusive kind of postings. So yeah, so it's pretty cool. What I did with my career, what I did with my CLS. So like I'm interning with the State Department right now, virtually. So that was about 1 to 15 application pools. So like having like NCE and CLS did really condense. I work for Education USA Armenia as a student worker right now, and I know that my CLS experience helped because my fellow intern, she works at the UN. So when I saw it, I just got humbled. So yeah, like I bet like CLS helped a lot for that, and it helped me with my selection of where I get stationed in. So when I used my OPI for military, hey, I speak Russian, and then I got assigned to Europe. So that was actually like very helpful, like CLS experience to get the job location where I wanted, and also this extra like I wanted to learn more about State Department, so I applied to internship, and it was basically like, oh yeah, you're good, you know. So yeah, CLS. I didn't know it was a big deal because like our school didn't talk about it. It's like just apply. But after coming back from CLS, I was like, okay, that was kind of a big deal. Like I appreciated the it's not that big deal because like I was like, oh, like I would just give it a shot. And you know, if I knew how much like competitive it was, I wouldn't apply because I would be like I'm nothing basically. But like I'm glad that I did because it really opened a lot of doors and a lot of so a couple of my friends doing boring right now through CLS. So when you have CLS and boring, I mean CLS boring is kind of like just continuation. Yeah, it's very like like flow. And then a lot of my friends. So two of my friends doing Fulbright. Three of my friends are doing boring. The rest, one's going to FBI, one's just going to State Department. So like a lot of people are doing government work after, but there's also people that just want to learn the language and go to like business sectors, whatever. So it doesn't really matter, but it does help you with the government. They kind of try to recruit you because when we were in the embassy, they were like, hey, like if anybody's interested, you know, please come. So yeah, it's very nice if you want to work for a three-letter after. And NSA is super hiring because everybody's like, you know, everybody's getting that was email from NSA like, hey, we will work with you. And then yeah, we have a couple people working for NSA as an analyst, like a language analyst, and then having OPI does kind of differentiate, and also having the CLS experience does help. Um, so yeah. So yeah, like opportunity for everybody. So, you know, just because you're from Missouri State and nobody did it before, it doesn't eliminate you from the pool. I think it makes you actually more, I guess more favorable because, you know, they have slots for, so what they do is kind of do a match, kind of like speed dating. So basically, you know, if you're an applicant and you're a junior from like a middle institution, they'll put resume that has the same category and see, hey, who's the slot that I'm gonna give you. It's very unofficial, but like that's how the selection work. And based on the essay, based on the GPA, based on the prior experience, they kind of put 1 to 10, and then let's say there's 3 slots for that, then they put 3, and then put 3 to 5 wait list, and then 5 to below, just non-select. So just because there's million Georgetown or American University folks apply, it doesn't mean that they take your slot because you're kind of competing with people with similar background. So don't be discouraged. And over 50% applied as a like identifies themselves as minority, and then over 30% receive Pell Grant. So that means a lot to me because I was also a Gilman Scholar, and then I grew up with not a lot of money, and also study abroad was not an option for me. So having that allotment allocation definitely did help me with that application cycle. So if you guys are, thinking that, oh, you might not get this because of my background or something like that, it could be used as an advantage. And I strongly encourage you to put that in your personal statement and your supplemental essay because that really does differentiate you from the application cycle. So like there was a classmate of mine that she goes to UCLA, but she asked me what FAFSA was, for example, and that was very eye-opening experience. And we had one person in our program that lives in Manhattan, and I'm from like rural Georgia town, right? So it doesn't like it's very diverse group, and also it really gives that equal opportunity for everybody. So just because you're unsure, because you're coming from a small town or not big institution, doesn't mean that your chances are lower. I think it's higher actually. So resources, so you can find it on the website, obviously. And then CLS advisor is Miss Huff, and that's how I got in contact. But you can email me. I can look at your personal statement and give comments, and I can connect with you. So CLS Portuguese, text people that are CLS Vortex alumni and put you on contact. I think I put you on contact with CLS Mandarin already. So yeah, and they have every Friday CLS has a Q&A or a virtual seminar. If you're unsure about application, you can ask that, or you can kind of text me, or for your personal statement or essay, I can have a look. I can't guarantee that it's gonna be like phenomenally better, but I think my perspective seeing CLS as an alumni, I can kind of identify what works and what doesn't work. But the help's out there. And deadline is November 14th, and I would strongly encourage you guys to not think this November 14th because yeah, just try to start early. I know you guys have classes and other things in life, but starting early does really help with preparing, and then semifinal notification came about mid to late January, and that finalist notification is long time, yeah. And then your program begins June, so
Yeah, 3 months in between.
it is a long timeline, and a lot of. I was stressed out in late January and March, but it's worth the journey. And when that program finally begins, and it's like it makes all the pain goes away. And even if this is not something that you end up getting, it's not a rejection but a redirection. And I think it will allow you to really discover yourself through the supplemental statement and also the personal statement. So I think this will prepare you for other scholarship or fellowship opportunities. So I'm a big advocate of just trying and let others decide your path, not yourself. So I had the courage to apply, and it led me to such a incredible experience. So you guys can definitely have that experience. Whether or not like you think you're not qualified. Like I genuinely think everybody here is qualified to apply, and like anybody who like doesn't agree with that, they're like kind of crazy. Because like I feel like everybody deserves a shot, and it doesn't matter if you're from top 10 institution in the world, or just like a small school, or just like not known school. Because I'm from school where nobody really knows, and I was able to still get an opportunity like this, and why not you? Other opportunities, Gilman Scholarship. You're alumni of it, but anybody who is a Pell Grant recipient can apply for Gilman Scholarship, and it's very forgiving scholarship. I think the competition pool is not as high as CLS, so it's about 25% acceptance rate. So it's very forgiving scholarship, and you can use that fund for anything. So I got $4,000 for Gilman Scholarship, and I just kind of used it, and all my program was already paid for, so I just pocketed $4,000, and they don't ask you how you use it, so you don't really budget it out. So it's really nice, and anybody can apply. And then there's multiple application cycles. So the next deadline I think is in January. So if you want to apply for Gilman Scholarship, you can. Yes.
I thought that the Gilman Scholarship had an additional part where if you.
Oh, the critical language thing.
Yeah, but is CLS that extra part, or is CLS?
They're separate.
Okay.
Yeah. CLS and Gilman Scholarship is completely separate. Yeah.
Gilman is just money, CLS is the whole program.
Yeah. So the reason why CLS is competitive is because everything is laid out for you. Like you just have to show up. You just basically have to show up in the airport, and then they will take care of you, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah, but Gilman Scholarship is like you have to structure your own journey, basically.
They basically just give you a bunch of money.
Yeah, so they just give you money and they're like, okay, just figure it out, basically. So
Pinky promise.
yeah, so
Yeah.
so yeah, a lot of those. Never mind, I'm not gonna say it because it's recorded, but Fulbright. So you have ETA, so English Teaching Assistants, and then research grants. So and then Bourne is for language specific, but for Bourne, you have to work in any federal government job post program, and I think it's like a year.
And I think Bourne also is like country specific as well. You can't go to like certain countries.
I think Warren.
Any that are on the CLS.
Yeah,
or
it's
you'll be
like-
able to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
But you
yeah.
can't go to like branch on.
no, you can't go to.
Yeah, Boron has to be like a kind of critical language.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like a lot of my friends went to like Kazakhstan because like every language does have like a flagship program, so they kind of apply for flagship and then use Boron money to be free. Yeah, so if you're a critical language major, I'll strongly apply. I encourage you to apply for Boron. Fulbright's deadline has passed, so for this year application cycle. Gilman, there's another one I think that's notified in like early next year, and Boron it ends in like sometime next. I'm not sure though, but yeah, Fulbright did close. So but Fulbright you can apply as a like postgraduate, and like I know someone who did it for Taiwan and she loved it, and a couple friends of mine from CLS are in Fulbright right now, so they love it. So I strongly apply to. I encourage you to look at Fulbright as well. Any questions? Any questions?